What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. People wonder what happened to boxing. You know, boxing was the #1 sport in the 60s, probably all the way up to the early 70s. Boxing was the #1 sport in America. As we stand here today, boxing is a niche sport. You got a lot of stuff going on in the sport of boxing that don't involve two gladiators getting inside that square circle throwing hands. And when we talk about the failed negotiations, the apparent failed negotiations involving Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Ryan Garcia, which if it would have transpired, would have been the biggest fight to be made in the sport of boxing. Bigger than Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford, bigger than Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz, bigger than Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko. The biggest fight to be made here in the U.S. Make no mistake about it. But a fight that, according to Ryan Garcia's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, is on the 1-yard line. Both sides have fumbled the ball. And it looks like, due to the fact that the rematch clause cannot be agreed to by both parties, and the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis has an exclusive deal with Showtime, he can't fight on the zone in the rematch. The fight seems to be DOA. Sad state of affairs, and that's why boxing is a niche sport. Now, Ryan Garcia and his team has come out yesterday and said that they're fighting on April 15th. If they can't get the fight with Tank Davis, they will be prepared to send an offer to WBC Junior, the welterweight champion, Regis Prograis. Now, is this reality? Is this actually a real possibility, or is this leverage? Is Ryan Garcia using Regis Prograis' name as leverage to get Gervonta Tank Davis to give in on the rematch clause? If Ryan Garcia wins, the fight will be shown on the zone, and Golden Boy Promotions will be the lead promoter? Or are they serious about taking a very high-risk, low-reward fight? Now, you're fighting for a belt, but even if you win against Regis Prograis, it's still debatable that you're the top dog at 140 pounds, because we all know that Josh Taylor is the top dog at 140 pounds. Now, he lost his belts outside of the ring due to the business of boxing. You know, he couldn't take care of his mandatories. He was trying to secure a rematch with Jack Catterall. People over there in the UK think he lost that fight. He's in his feelings. He wants to prove everybody wrong. He wants to do right and give the guy a rematch and beat him with no dispute in the rematch. But that fight isn't falling apart. He actually is in negotiations with Teofimo Lopez. With all that being said, Josh Taylor is a top dog at 140 pounds. So even if you do get the win over Regis Prograis, which is a big if, you still would have to beat Josh Taylor to stake your claim as the top dog at 140 pounds. With all that being said, I think Ryan Garcia is a dog. Contrary to popular belief, I don't think he's soft. I don't think he's a pretty boy. I don't think he's a part-time Instagram model and part-time boxer. I don't subscribe to that line of thinking. I think he's actually wants to make the big fights. He wants to make the Tank Davis fight, but the problem is his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, has an exclusive deal with the zone. Ryan Garcia has an exclusive deal with Golden Boy Promotions. So Oscar want to do right by his partner in the zone. He just secured an extension with the zone. He wants to continue to work with the zone in the future. He don't want to do nothing to alienate the zone, who in my opinion shows favoritism to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. It seems like they get the better dates. They get more fights. Well, they have a bigger stable, so I can understand that. But it seems like they get favorable attention in comparison to Oscar De La Hoya. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's the question of this video. Is Ryan Garcia sincere about moving on and taking on Regis Prograis if Gervonta Tank Davis don't act right and give in to his demands? Now, Ryan Garcia came out either late yesterday or earlier today and said, look, let's just forget about the rematch clause altogether. Let's just do a one-off, winner-take-all. But again, Tank Davis is the A-side. Oscar De La Hoya didn't do no winner-take-all when he fought Sugar Shane Mosley the first time. They fought again, and he was still the A-side. Canelo Alvarez did not do a winner-take-all. Well, I ain't going to say that. He wouldn't be doing a winner-take-all. He didn't do a winner-take-all if everything comes to fruition as far as Canelo fighting Bivol in September. But when he fought Bivol the first time and lost, he fought Triple G the third time, won. Now he got a fight coming up maybe in May against John Roddy. He gets the win. Bivol takes an interim fight, beats Buatsi. That's the fight that's been mentioned by Eddie Hearn. Then if they fight again, guess what? Canelo Alvarez is still the A side. So it's not a winner take all. If there was a winner take all, if they fight in September, Bivol will be the A side. He will make the lion's share of the person. That's not the case. So we got two examples of a guy that was the A side not only in the first fight, but had a one-way rematch clause and was the A side in the rematch if he lost the first fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Very, very interesting developments in regards to negotiations between Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Oscar De La Hoya, who came out yesterday and was full of hypocrisy when he said, look, we're just trying to do right by our broadcast partner, DAZN. We feel it is only right that if Ryan Garcia defeats Gervonta Tank Davis and Gervonta Tank Davis exercises his runway rematch clause, that the fight must be on DAZN. It must be promoted by Golden Boy Promotions as the lead promoter. It's only right. This is how it's done in boxing. But now, not according to your own career, Oscar, because it wasn't done in the case with you and Sugar Shane Mosley, like I mentioned earlier in this video. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, I had somebody that texted me the other day and said, well, what about Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield? When Holyfield beat him the first time in a rematch, Mike Tyson was still the A side. I don't know who was the A side or who was the B side, but I do know that the earnings that Holyfield made in the second fight, the infamous ear bite, Holyfield made $33 million. That's what he made at the end of the day. He made $33 million, and Mike Tyson made $30 million. So Holyfield was the A side in the rematch, and Mike Tyson was the B side, but it wasn't no different. $33 million, $30 million, y'all both A sides making that type of money. But in the first fight, obviously, Mike Tyson made the lion's share of the purse. So you got examples both ways. But Holyfield was an established guy. He had done more in the sport of boxing than Ryan Garcia. So the Gervonta Tank Davis Ryan Garcia situation is more comparable to the Oscar De La Hoya versus Sugar Shane Mosley situation than the Mike Tyson versus Holyfield situation. Because you like Ryan and Gervonta, Oscar and Sugar Shane were at the beginning of their careers. Now both of them were champions, but Sugar Shane was coming up from 135 pounds. He was jumping up 2 weight classes. Oscar De La Hoya was a world champion at 147 pounds. And you can say the same for Gervonta Tank Davis. He's a world champion at 140 pounds. You can say, well, it's a minor league belt, JBsports. It's a Mickey Mouse belt, JBsports. Well, he's considered a champion at 140 pounds. You can call it minor league, you can call it Mickey Mouse, you can call it secondary. All I know, he got the regular WBA lightweight title. So he was a champion just like Oscar De La Hoya was a champion, and Sugar Shane Mosley was not a champion at 147. Now, he was a champion at 135. Ryan Garcia has not been a champion at 135 or any other weight class for that matter. But he is an undefeated fighter just like Sugar Shane Mosley, and his popularity was on the level of Sugar Shane Mosley at that time. So that's more comparable, again, than to Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I believe it when I see it if Ryan Garcia actually takes on Regis Prograis. That's a very high-risk, low-reward fight, man. But Regis Prograis seems to think that Oscar De La Hoya, Regis Prograis seems to think that Ryan Garcia is not a dog, that he's softer than Baby Boo Boo. You know, he's real soft, according to Regis Prograis. He's not a true warrior, and he believes that once the fight gets hard, that Ryan Garcia will be willing to wave that white flag and look for a way out of that fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, I think that's the motivation for Ryan Garcia to take on that fight. But will Golden Boy be willing to make that fight, or will they be willing to stay in-house and maybe put Ryan Garcia in the fight with a Jojo Diaz or maybe a William Zepeda in-house fights where they are in control whoever wins. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I think the most likely scenario, if the Tank Davis fights fall through and it appears that it is heading in that direction, I think the most likely scenario is Ryan Garcia takes an interim fight. Maybe they put Regis Prograis on the undercard, kind of like what they did with the Oscar De La Hoya Bernard Hopkins fight. They put Bernard on the undercard of Oscar De La Hoya versus Philip Stern. Oscar De La Hoya lost that fight, by the way, but you know how they go. They already had the money set up they already had the fight set up with Oscar and Bernard. They weren't gonna mess up that bag. But they set that fight up where they had Bernard on the undercard as the co-main event, and they had Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Sturm. Oscar won, Bernard won, and they set the stage for them to fight later on that year. Maybe they do the same thing with Regis Prograis. They offer him an interim fight. He fights maybe a Sandor Martin or Lipinets or somebody like that on the undercard of a Ryan Garcia versus a Jojo Diaz or somebody else up under the Golden Boy stable. I doubt if he put him in there with William Cepeda in that type of fight, but maybe Jojo Diaz, he wins that fight, and Regis Prograis wins his fight, and then they set the stage for Ryan Garcia versus Regis Prograis at the end of 2023. I think that's the most likely scenario. I doubt very seriously they go directly into a fight with Regis Prograis on April 15th. I doubt very seriously that if that happens, I'll be the first to congratulate Ryan Garcia and his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.